Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Fantasy Philosophers. I'm your host, Dustin, with my co-host, Patrick. And it's been a minute, so excited to,
It has.
excited to kind of get back in here, talk about some early season trends, some hits that we've had, some misses, what we might expect moving forward on some of these trends that we've seen. So that's what we've got on tap for today. Appreciate everybody who stuck with us through our little laps here, but we're here to give you some more fantasy insight. So let's get into it, Patrick. We spent a lot of
Sweet.
time. We spent a lot of time this summer talking about breakout candidates, guys that we liked going into the season. We might have mentioned some guys that we don't like so much, along the way. So let's spend a little bit of time, just kind of talking about some areas where we whiffed hard, maybe areas we didn't whiff as hard, but also some areas that we, maybe not victory lapping, but are looking pretty good so far.
Absolutely. And just to get it out of the way, I just feel it has to be addressed, with the amount of quote unquote fantasy studs that have gone down due to injury thus far. I mean, it's so sad and disappointing and just like, has this ever happened? I mean, I'm 33, so, I can only go so far back, but I just can't think of a single season where, obviously people get injured throughout the season, of course, but we're talking like the best at positions, skill positions in particular, or offensive line, which just as important, of course. Man, it's just so sad. Shout out to all the Saquon owners. Ironically, I did everything I possibly could to get Saquon in the Dynasty League. Shout out, Dylan. Thank you for not accepting any of those offers. Didn't get them, but I do feel y'all's pain. I mean, what a predicament. Such a talent. And, at least it wasn't his Achilles is what I keep hearing, which – Agreed. But any injury of that nature, it's still concerning. It's not only going to affect a person physically, but mentally. I mean, I think if anyone can come back and get back to form, Saquon would be amongst that crowd. But just wish him the best of luck in that recovery. And, man, I will miss watching him play the rest of this season, but certainly look forward to watching him play next season. Just had to get that out.
For sure. Big time talent that we don't get to see again. So definitely sad.
Yes, indeed. Real quick, just the biggest surprise thus far for me, Josh Allen. What a not forward. This guy took a skip, hop, and a jump forward this season. I mean, I did not see this coming at all. I did fortunately draft him in one redraft league simply because I think I took him in the 9th or 10th round, and it was 4 points for passing, where obviously those rushing QBs get the boost. Grabbed him, obviously extremely happy I did. Still early. So a lot of games to be played, but as of today, I would say he was that late round QB breakout everyone was looking for. So props to him for putting in the work. I counted Stephon Diggs completely out, which blew up in my face. The Bills, man, they're rolling. They're rolling. If those two young running backs can, take their game up a notch, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. So really excited to watch them play moving forward. Again, shout out to Josh Allen. Didn't see it, but now I have. So let's go. Cousins I wouldn't even call that play, whatever he did in week 2. In fact, seeing how bad they played in the leagues where I went out and grabbed Alexander Madison. I don't have any Dalvin Cook shares, by the way. I went ahead and just dropped him because if Dalvin goes down, based on what I've seen, I would not be confident starting Madison. In all honesty, Thielen, the touchdown saved him last week. I expected much more from him. The rookie Jefferson did have that blow up game, but overall, is it Diggs moving away? Is it those other defensive players that were lost? Is it a combination? Probably. That's another big surprise for me. I'm just used to the Vikings, regardless of what their record is at the end of the year, they just always seem to be a team that can compete, amongst most, if not all, other teams in the league. So seeing their start to the season was a surprise. What would you say is the biggest surprise thus far to you, Dustin?
Yeah. I think looking at Aaron Rodgers, man.
Yes.
I kind of had him
Ooh, that boy is
sunsetting.
ready.
Yeah, I mean,
Should have known.
Maybe Green Bay knew what they were doing by taking Jordan Love so early, because it seems like maybe they kind of lit a fire under Aaron Rodgers' ass. He's playing lights out right now, man, and I'd kind of written him off as a matchup dependent QB2 after last year, and that's another kind of late round draft. I mean, people were still taking him kind of early based on name value, but he definitely fell. And if he continues this pace, look out! They're gonna make a run.
Yeah, and it's been so great to see, so entertaining to watch. He's out there, he looks like the Aaron Rodgers we've come to know as that elite quarterback that can just completely take over a game. I remember going way back to an early episode. Don't remember off top which one it was, but I believe you asked me if between Carson Wentz and Aaron Rodgers who I would take, and we may have to double check this. I want to say that my response was it would be a coin flip. So I'm praying in that coin flip that Rodgers is tails because of tails never fails, right?
Right.
But yeah, comparing Aaron Rodgers to Carson Wentz today is unfortunately laughable.
Yep. Absolutely.
And great segue. Another surprise. I don't know if we can put it all on Wentz. I mean, as the quarterback, yeah, everyone's going to look his way, but the losses that they've had, not only in the receiving core, but that offensive line as well. I mean, he looks like he's out there running for his life. And I mean, there's just no composure. It looks like he's constantly looking over his shoulder, expecting to get hit. He better settle in. Greg Ward, once again, you give the man playing time.
He looks good.
Why? I better see him on the field the rest of the way. I don't care about Alshon coming back at some point. I mean,
They just
I'll
signed
admit
Hakeem
I picked
Butler.
him up in one league just out of pure desperation because I did not feel good about my receivers, and almost every single one of them are hurt at the moment. So do what you got to do. But Greg Ward, man, I shout out to him once again because anytime he gets that opportunity, he just puts up stats.
That's my boy.
So, if you're in a deeper league, or it doesn't even really have to be deep at this point, if someone's giving you a solid 12 to 15 points each week in your PPR league, that's a solid flex play each and every week that he's going to be on the field. So you might want to take a quick peek and see if he's still available.
And look, they just don't have anyone else to throw the ball to. Goddard's out several weeks. Rager's out. They just signed Hakeem Butler, but
I'd be shocked if Rager played this season. I mean,
Yeah,
why risk that? There's no reason.
Deshaun Jackson's hurt, so like there is nobody else. It's him and Ertz.
No, you don't say.
Oh, color me surprised. Um,
Come on,
but while
Deshaun.
we're pumping ourselves up for Greg Ward, I just want to mention I think we were both on Alan Lazard this offseason, and I know it kind of took Devontae Adams going down, but you can't tell me that he's not earning more of a role every week. It looks like a late round steal for Alan Lazard.
I agree. One thing that I did find interesting, and I just heard this earlier, and I don't have the direct source. I apologize. Take it or leave it. But a very credible reporter stated that in an interview post game, when they were discussing Lazard, and most of the conversation, I will admit, was focused on Lazard. There was a point where Aaron Rodgers made the comment that they were rolling coverage over the top of MVS the whole game, which is why he kept looking Lazard's way. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I don't think that we can just take it to the bank that he's the clear number 2 behind, obviously, Adams when he's on the field. Because MVS has had some real nice moments this year as well. And hearing the quarterback of the team acknowledge the fact that for whatever reason, it seemed like they were more focused on MVS than Lazard. Who knows? Just, if nothing else, just noteworthy.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely got us a little distracted there, but as far as
hey, there's been a lot going on. We're well overdue. So wherever we get led, let's go ahead and go.
yeah, I wanted to. I'm really surprised about Tampa Bay. Right, a couple of things. A lot of it surprises me. I'm surprised at the running back and the tight end usage. RIP all my Rojo takes. I mean, he's still getting more use than Fournette, but right now I don't want to start either one of them if I have them. So it's just messy and not good at all right now. And then the tight ends, same thing. I don't want to start either. I don't have them anywhere, but I wouldn't want to start them if I had them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so strange because Gronk practically did nothing the first couple of weeks, and then he's on the field for like 60-plus snaps. I mean, not much yardage, but, we all know he's going to be a threat in the red zone each and every week. So if he continues getting a handful or more targets a game, he's suddenly back in that conversation. But then again, he could just disappear completely. Yeah. And then, with all the Keyshawn Vaughn hype initially, where is he currently?
He's been a healthy scratch.
Is he on the team?
Yeah.
Is he a special teams player? That's just a huge surprise because he was consistently getting drafted ahead of Rojo, at least in dynasty leagues. I can't, I'm sure by the time you read the redraft, everything's clear about that situation. But seeing how that transpired and the result was also surprising. But yeah, I never would have guessed Fournette would end up there. We'll see. I mean, Fournette's okay. He's I don't know. I just feel like why would you talk up Rojo all off season as the head coach? Because putting myself in Rojo's shoes, like I'm not gonna say I would feel just completely betrayed, but I think moving forward, like hearing what my coach is telling me, like I'm not going to trust the man, just to be very direct and honest here. I just feel Arians is, I don't know if he's just having fun with it or if that's just literally how he is, I should say. But either way, I'm not a fan of that move at all. Especially with a young guy in Rojo, he fumbled and, just you want to instill confidence in the guy, which Arians did all offseason, but then you bring up a former number 4 overall draft pick in Leonard Fournette. I mean, just not a good move, I don't think, for the team's long-term outlook. Fournette's okay. I don't think he's any better than Rojo is. He might be more trustworthy in pass pro, but other than that, whatever.
Maybe
wasn't a fan.
Maybe they signed Fournette because they realized Keyshawn Vaughn wasn't ready, and they needed depth. But at the same time, they had Dare Ogunbowale. He's neither him nor McCoy are between the tackles runners, though, so maybe that's what they needed. I don't know, man.
I thought Ogunbowale was a nice fit for Brady too, because he's always, thinking about James White.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised that they let him go, and it's seeing Shady McCoy at this point in his career
as a third down back.
What are we doing, man?
Really? Welcome to 2020.
Very, very odd times. Very, very odd times. But it is football season, ladies and gentlemen. So we got to be thankful about that. What else? There's just so much to talk about, but let's go ahead and just get at it. Russell Wilson, let Russ cook.
Yeah, baby.
All day, every day, because wow, this guy's deep pass skills are. Granted, Mahomes can do things that I don't think Russell Wilson can do, but I think vice versa as well, because I'm going to be blatantly honest. How I feel today, I don't think anyone is a better deep passer than Russell Wilson. The ball is just perfect.
It's a rainbow.
Over and over and over. I mean, I think he's an obvious lead, or early lead, I should say, for MVP, and I don't see him slowing down, man. With Chris Carson going down.
DJ Dallas sighting?
I hope so, man.
Me too.
I really hope so, because I am a DJ Dallas fan, man. Give him a chance, Pete. Give him a chance. But defense, I mean, Jamal Adams, without Jamal Adams, that defense might have been one of, if not the worst in the league. So we're
going to find out. He's got a groin.
Yeah, but man, Russell Wilson is just on another level, Mr. Unlimited. Well,
yeah,
what
dude.
Line?
Yeah, and that kind of brings me to Tyler Lockett. Not that it's a surprise, but I kept telling people all offseason, like, he's a steal. Why is he going so late? And just look at him go, man. He was a wide receiver 1 before they turned Russ loose. Like, he's got top 5 potential. Now, that performance this past week was just absolutely absurd. 3 touchdowns, 100 yards. But
Agreed. I mean, Metcalf is a talent as well. He's a special talent, but with Metcalf, just the physical traits. I mean, let's be honest here. Just the physical attributes of Metcalf, unfortunately, are going to make a lot of people look right over Tyler Lockett. Him and Russ just have that connection. I mean, there's no denying that. So everyone that had Lockett fall to them in drafts, man, what a cornerstone piece to your team moving forward this season.
Absolutely. While we're talking about receivers, though, I wanted to touch on the Dallas wide receiving core, because you, me, and everybody else was in love with Michael Gallup this year. And even when they drafted CeeDee Lamb, we said, it's tough for rookie receivers to catch on quick. He's got the chemistry. He's shown he can do it. Through 3 weeks, man, it looks like he's relegated to a deep threat. And CeeDee Lamb is that dude that we thought he was. Not that CeeDee Lamb's, taken over games just yet, but if you have CeeDee Lamb in Dynasty, seeing what he's done through the first 3 games, you are salivating for the next couple of years, man. And his career, just the ceiling is astronomical. So I wish I had more of CeeDee Lamb, but I went hard in the paint for Gallup this offseason. I've got him everywhere, and I still think he's a good talent. He's a good receiver, but maybe they sign Cooper, keep him, and let Gallup go somewhere else. I don't know, but man, it really stinks. I was excited to see what Gallup could really do this year with some more volume.
Yeah, just to take a quick glance back, week 2, I believe it was against the Rams. They call him on that BS offensive pass interference. They don't call that. Not having this conversation right now. That's how I feel. He is the deep threat, but he's the deep threat for a reason. The boy goes up and gets the ball. Amari Cooper doesn't do that. I mean, I've seen CeeDee Lamb do it in college and in high school. So far, it's been more just the play schemes, and he's just open. I mean, not to take anything away from him by any means, because, anyone that has seen CeeDee Lamb play, it's very obvious that this guy is going to be one of the best wide receivers in, the next couple of seasons. So
I guess my concern,
the one thing I do
real quick is Gallup. With Gallup is just the lack of targets. Maybe I haven't looked at his total targets, but I've watched all the Cowboys games, and it just seems like he's just not getting the targets that we expected. So had he made that catch, or not been flagged, we're not. But it just feels like he's boom bust for me. Now maybe every week's a boom because the Cowboys are throwing the ball 50 times a game, but it just doesn't feel good.
You know what it is, and this is a perfect segue to my next point.
What?
We've only been through 3 weeks. I acknowledge that. However, through 3 weeks, Amari Cooper has actually been consistently producing. Now, for those of you that expect that to continue throughout the whole season, good luck. I have him in one league, but, he falls to a certain point. What can you do? But I think that does have some role into, the target distribution. The thing that worries me about Amari is it just seems like he's been dealing with plantar fasciitis since at least dating back to college. It seems like every year there's something at some point, whether it's in the season, it's like it never goes away, and it's a constant thing that he has to play through, which we've seen time and time again causes him to completely disappear or possibly, not be able to play. We'll see. We'll see. I'm holding Gallup. You're not going to get much in return if you try to trade him, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm still fine with Gallup. I'm still fine. I think based on what I've seen, there's just been so many times where Gallup is drawing defenders deep, and then one of them, Ari or CD or Schultz at this point, is just coming underneath wide open and getting those. So we'll see, man. Gallup has talent, and, he goes up and catches the ball. Well, sometimes he catches the ball. Let's be honest. He had a lot of drops last year, but I just like his play style, man, because he is constantly elevating over people to go get it. we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I'm not worried about Gallup just yet. Not at all.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's see. Some other surprises for me. We talked about Irv Smith already. How about that Colts offense? That's a little bit of a surprise to me. I think a lot of us expected a little more scoring. I feel like their passing game outside of Mo Alley Cox has been, not something that you're happy to have in fantasy.
And if Mo Alley Cox is still available in your league, hit
Get that, man.
pause, go at him. I added him in a dynasty league. I basically just took Hayden Hurst and just banked on it working out for me, and I don't feel good about it at all. So I'm just like slowly but surely trying to collect as many tight ends as I can. But after seeing Jack Doyle return and play so many snaps at that, I'll be honest. Why in the world would you not play Mo Alley Cox after these past 2 games?
Oh, yeah.
Why would you not? I mean, that's a weapon. And we've seen Paris Campbell go down. I just heard last night Michael Pittman Jr. is out for an extended time frame. T.Y. Hilton looks like he's just done.
No.
I hate to say it, but yeah, he looks done. So Mo Alley Cox is suddenly
the number one pass catcher.
Be the number one pass catcher, or at least the number one look from Phillip Rivers. I mean, I'm grabbing him if I can. If I don't have a top 5 tight end and Mo Alley Cox is there, don't be dumb and drop someone that you shouldn't. But if there's an expendable player at the end of your bench, yes, smash that right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even though even JT, Jonathan Taylor, has been a little bit of a disappointment so far. I mean, he's a rookie. But man, when Marlon Mack went down, everyone just, we were all, everyone who has a share of JT is just salivating, and hadn't quite popped the way I think everyone wants it to yet. But man, watch out when it does. Twitter is going to be insufferable.
Here's the thing, man, I don't own JT anywhere, so I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. But the guy is an absolute talent, absolutely, 100%. No one kid themselves here. But with Paris Campbell out, Michael Pittman Jr. out, T.Y. Hilton, what is he? A field stretcher?
At this point, yeah, I guess.
What's he done? Nothing.
Not much this year.
So whenever you can just concentrate just solely on the run, that's not good for his outlook the rest of the season. I mean, I know they have that great offensive line, but when you're more or less one-dimensional, I mean, unless Zach Pascal just has a breakout year, I mean –
that's a good point.
I mean, he has the starting job, so you got to love that. But it's not going to – I just don't expect what I thought we were going to see, if that makes sense. Yeah. I think he's still a solid RB2 with RB1 upside. But if you have the opportunity to sell high on him still – I would entertain that idea. I mean, in redraft, obviously, you're not selling them in Dynasty. Don't be stupid like me. I would entertain that because I'm just nervous that anytime he's on the field, the whole defense is going to be planning on stopping him and then just basically say, old man Rivers, let's see this. I don't know. What do you think?
It's funny you say that. I have been kind of advising someone on a redraft league in their work with their work friends, and we drafted together. So we ended up drafting Kamara, Connor, Eckler, and JT. JT's our RB4.
Wow.
And then we have Lockett, Tyler Boyd, Brandon Cooks, and Darius Slayton. Right. So, I've been kind of hoping for a JT game to pop because I recommended that, hey, let's see what the Hopkins owner has as running backs. He got Todd Gurley, and that's about it. So I was like, hey, man, offer Jonathan Taylor and like Brandon Cooks and see if we can pry Hopkins away. And, not successful, but
really,
he countered with Hopkins and Gurley for Kamara.
Yeah, I just would have had to tell him right then and there. You can send another counter, but don't include Gurley in it because it's an automatic no.
Yeah, no. So it's funny you say that because I'm right there with you. I feel like if it doesn't happen soon, you're going to lose your chance to sell on the hype and the name. But hopefully we can get a big game in the next week or two in a row and sell again or try to sell again. That's kind of my strategy with JT right now in redraft. If you want him in Dynasty, you better back up the Brinks truck.
Yeah. Obviously you shouldn't be concerned whatsoever in Dynasty, but we're really trying to stick to redraft. We're currently talking about ideas about how we'll address, redraft and Dynasty moving forward, but we'll update everyone with those details once we have them finalized. But until then, we're planning on sticking to redraft. Obviously you're probably going to hear us make a comment here or there about Dynasty, but that's just because we're so involved in the Dynasty community. So forgive us in advance. Sorry. But yeah, man, if you can sell Jonathan Taylor high right now in redraft leagues, I would do it. Now, with that being said, Dustin, what would you need in return to send away JT?
Well, redraft, man, super dependent on my team need, right? So,
just more or less the tier type of, obviously we don't know what the team needs, but just the quality of player. What are you looking for?
So as far as like maybe I need a receiver, I think you could probably get, some low end, considered low end wide receivers. First one that comes to my mind is Mr. Bobby Trees, maybe. Even as if you believe in Cooper Kupp, which I prefer Robert Woods, but Cooper Kupp hasn't had the strongest start to the season. I mean, he had a big game last week, so it might be a little harder now. Let's see. You're not getting Calvin Ridley. That'd be nice, though.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah, that ship definitely sailed. Before he got hurt, I might have said, hey, Russell Gage is looking like a nice swap if you're in PPR and need a wide receiver.
Yeah, but you could certainly get more than just Gage.
For sure.
Maybe a 2-for-1.
Yeah, maybe like a Gage and a backup tight end or, something like that.
Stephon Diggs. Someone offers you Stephon Diggs for Jonathan Taylor straight up.
And I'm flush at running back, automatic.
You feel that your biggest need is a wide receiver. Is that an automatic accept?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it'd be hard not to. I mean, damn, look what Diggs has done already. Will it continue? We'll find out. But yeah, that surprised me.
Allen Robinson's another one, right? I know he had a slow start with that quarterback change.
But I think the Bears' entire offense just got a boost. And the biggest reason, and it's not because I'm just like a Trubisky hater, because it's not really that. It's just defenses do not respect his pass game. They just don't. And with Foles, I mean, no, he's not going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. No. I mean, he might be average, maybe. But he's shown time and time again that he knows how to win games. And we just saw it happen. So,
Dude, apparently he told Anthony Miller on that touchdown pass, "Hey, dude, get to the end zone, just run to the L." And if you go back and watch that, he threw that ball right in the middle of the L in Atlanta. It's ridiculous, dude.
yeah,
That's
but
awesome.
as an Allen Robinson owner myself, I'm very happy to hear Foles being named the starting QB moving forward.
For sure.
I do think Anthony Miller becomes much more relevant as of that announcement. And also David Montgomery. Not only the fact that defenses will have to respect the pass more so than they did with Trubisky under center, but that Cohen injury, the ACL tear,
Good thing they paid him.
sure, we'll see Cordero Patterson back there, but I mean, they're almost forced to involve Montgomery in the pass game much more than they have. So
For
if you
sure.
own him, that's got to feel good. If someone's trying to buy low on them right now, I'd probably hold and see how things play out for the next week or two, because his value could certainly increase by quite a margin if things pan out the way that I think they will.
For sure. Um, yeah, man. Well, we talked a lot about some of those the things that have already happened, but maybe let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some things that are coming up, gonna happen, or that we hope happen.
Or we hope have. Okay,
Yeah.
I know where this is going now.
um, so we already talked about preseason breakouts. What about like who's off to a slow start, and who's your top 2 or 3 buy low candidates right now, and for redraft? Maybe like talk about one receiver, one running back, and then either a tight end or a quarterback, or if you don't have one, just another one of those guys. But let's try and get at least one wide receiver, one running back.
Yeah. Running backs. I think both Mixon and Drake are good buy lows. I would lean towards Drake just because I just feel that offense is better than Cincinnati's. And up to this point, it just seems like anytime they're down in that red zone goal line area, it's ultimately been Kyler who rushes it in, which who knows, maybe that does happen the entire season. But the thing about each of them is they're getting the volume. The production with that volume has been disappointing, but you cannot sell them right now. You can't, because you had to have used at least a second-round pick on a guy like Mixon or Drake, for that matter. I would imagine you use at least maybe even a first, in all honesty. And what are you going to get for them right now? Not much at all. So, depending on the matchup, it could be I'm going to bench until you show me something. But I believe Mixon faces Jacksonville in week 4.
Yes.
If he once again does not produce at least RB2 numbers, then I'm panicking. I'm in full panic. But the thing is, they paid the man. They paid him, but they're not. The pass usage is Gio Bernard still a thing? Really? I don't. It's so strange. It really is. And then with Drake again, I think most him and him not doing what we expected is just the Kyler Murray explosion and all these rushing TDs. But I mean, that offense is flying downfield, getting lots of touchdown opportunities. So I think brighter days are ahead. I don't recall who Drake goes up against in week 4, but if Mixon does not produce against Jacksonville, then unfortunately he's gonna sit and rot away on the bench. I mean, what else can you do? I mean, if you have Mixon right now, what would you accept for him? I mean, let's say same scenario. You need a wide receiver. Like, what's the lowest tier guy that you would do? Because I mean, he hasn't done anything, man. He really hasn't.
I know, man. I'd take a guy probably like if I just really wanted to upgrade wide receiver because it was just terrible. I might take like a combination of like Darius Slayton and Jamison Crowder or something like, you know.
What if someone offers you Michael Gallup?
For Mixon, I'd probably take it. I've never really liked Mixon. Especially this year, he was on my do not draft list. But yeah. So like if someone sent me Michael Gallup, just
that's a tough one.
The boom potential that I see in Gallup is worth it because I just don't see it really in Mixon as often.
Yeah, that would be a hard one for me. I don't know. Thankfully, I only have Mixon in one league. Pretty sure I only have Drake in one league as well. So,
well, just so you know, Drake plays Carolina this week. So also a cupcake type of matchup.
Yeah, well, I thought the same thing with the Chargers facing them with Joshua Kelly and
a
whole lot of nothing, man. So I don't know. It's like you take some matchups for granted sometimes, and it backfires, and it's just like a punch in the gut, man, and it just kind of like checks you a little bit. Like it don't work like that. That's why they play the game. So,
I'm actually with you on the Drake thing. He's one of my buy low candidates at running back, just because the volume is there, man. He's getting 20 touches a game. It'll happen. It does stink that Kyler kind of is running the ball in a little more, the kind of the Josh Allen effect that we were all so scared of. But I think that evens out a little bit. But then again, maybe not, because when I see Kyler run, I'm like, man, that dude's special.
He is, but a couple of things. I think defenses, they have a few weeks of tape on that. So there's going to be some adjustments because it's obviously a weapon that needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
But seeing Kyler run the way he does now, granted, being a smaller guy, it's easier for him to kind of weave in and out of there and be somewhat hidden behind his offensive line and then just explode and be gone. But man, should he take a solid hit from one of these linebackers or safeties, I don't know how much more of this we're going to be seeing, because I don't have their measurements in front of me, but just watching Lamar Jackson looks like a much bigger person than Kyler. So seeing the run just so much, and maybe I'm not giving Kyler enough credit. Maybe he's bigger than he appears to be, but he just looks tiny out there, man. So I don't know, and he's obviously very fast, very quick, extremely agile, great vision. I would just be nervous if I was the head coach because all it takes is one vicious shot by a linebacker or strong safety. And, oh, man, I'm going to have to look up how tall and how much he weighs because he looks tiny out there, man. He really does. He's got to be shorter than 6 foot.
I think he's like 5'10" or something. Yeah, he's not very big. But
it's probably like my size exactly, but obviously an inch or two shorter.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that evens out. But I think or how that plays out. But I think Drake will get his. Um, and then I guess since you already talked about Drake a little bit, my other buy low candidate, we already talked about him a little bit too, but it's David Montgomery. Just because, to reiterate, the volumes there, Foles is probably going to boost the entire offense based on what we saw last week anyway. So, I'm still expecting David Montgomery for 220 touches, and he's looked pretty good. The Bears have had some ugly wins, but he's an all right RB2. So if you need RB2, I think you can get him fairly cheap. But what about wide receivers, man? What kind of wide receivers would you be targeting on a buy low strategy?
Buy low. I have to think about buy low wide receivers.
Yeah.
There's just so many, like,
there's so many
injuries,
receivers.
and it's just like hard to think about because I'm not an AG Green person at this point. I know some people are. I mean, if you got him, there's probably at least one person in your league that's interested. I'm done. The fact that T. Higgins and Joe Burrow literally worked out together the entire offseason leading up to the draft. I mean, we knew this was coming. We knew it. Time to pass the torch. AJ, I'm sorry, my man. Your time has come, and it appears to be gone. I mean, how many targets did he get week 1 and week 2 and do nothing?
Yeah.
I mean, were all the passes just like not catchable?
I didn't watch much of those games.
Didn't watch the games, but I can't imagine that was the case. T. Higgins looks very fit to be the new AJ Green. I mean, the size, the catch radius. AJ Green is over that 30-year mark, so adios. T. Higgins, him and Burrow, they already have a connection, man. They already do. Tyler Boyd, I want to give him a shout out too because he's looked real nice. He's looked nice for the past 2 years, but it just seemed like with AJ Green playing this season, the Burrow signing, T. Higgins, everyone wondering is John Ross going to redeem himself and get a big contract because he just suddenly goes off this year. It's like Tyler Boyd was just kind of the forgotten guy, but he's been looking solid.
Yeah, in PPR leagues, you're loving that production from Boyd.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Props to Burrow real quick.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's looking
nice. He's looking nice. So
not too many turnovers.
Things are looking up. Yeah. So I feel like at some point we got to talk about the New York Jets.
Do we have to?
And here's the thing. I just want someone to share with me how Adam Gase still has a head coaching job in the NFL. I would love to know.
I have that answer. I know. I got it.
Let's hear it. I mean,
right.
Please.
So, last offseason, if you shook hands with Sean McVay, you were getting a coaching job, right? So before we had that, it was, hey, Adam Gase one time let Peyton Manning run his offense. So he got to be a head coach in Miami and then still rode those coattails up the coast to New York. That's your answer. Thank you, Peyton, for all these wonderful years of Adam Gase.
And like I told you before we hopped on the recording, I mean, we could seriously do one entire episode about players that were just doomed by playing underneath Adam Gase. And then the second they're no longer with Gase, it's like, who is that? How did that happen?
Where did that come from? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know a whole lot about the New York Jets or their, the organization's history. I don't. But what in the world are y'all allowing to happen here? I mean, it doesn't take a genius to see that this guy is just, I don't know if it's like power moves he's after, or I don't know what to think at this point. But not only are they terrible, nothing he does ever makes any logic. I'm just gonna stop because I'm just disgusted. But that's just I feel so bad for Sam Darnold, and I pray that they fire him as soon as they get destroyed by whoever it is that they play this week, because he's worthless, man. He's nothing. He is bad for your team. In my opinion. I don't know the guy personally, obviously, but just look at what he does. Look at the stuff he says. I mean, look at some of the people he's brought in.
So for what it's worth, they play Thursday night, and they play the Broncos, who are trotting out Brett Ripien as their starting quarterback.
You might stick around, huh?
I still don't think so, dude. So Vegas
the Jets have an underrated run defense, though. I'm gonna put that out there. That's the only good thing you can say about the team, is their run defense is underrated, but every other aspect of that team is just.
I mean, okay. I think that you can pound it with Melvin Gordon for 3 quarters if you want to, and then hit a play action pass to Noah Fant. And if you score a touchdown on that, that's probably all you need to win this game. The Broncos defense is okay. The Jets defense is subpar by a lot. And Vegas has the line at 1.5, which I was like blown away by. I thought the Broncos would be at least 3.5-point favorites.
Where's the game being played?
I think it's in Denver. I'll have to double check.
Well, regardless, I'm ready to hear about a Le'Veon Bell trade. I don't know why. I just have this weird feeling that we're going to hear about a Le'Veon Bell trade, and maybe that saves Gase his job, is by moving Bell and getting something back for him while he still can.
It's in New York, by the way.
I just have a weird thought that for some reason Le'Veon Bell is not going to end this season as a New York Jet, but just want to throw that out there.
So, that's why Vegas doesn't have the Broncos as a 3.5-point favorite and only have them as a 1-point favorite, is because typically the home team in the NFL gets a field goal or more favorite. But it's the Jets, and the Jets are playing at home, and they're underdogs at home to a backup quarterback-led Broncos. So,
and isn't there wide receiver one Braxton
Berrios?
Yeah.
But
what a mess.
I mean, that actually kind of segues us into kind of the last little portion here as we come up on an hour. I don't know if you have any, but I wanted to just talk about a couple starts of the week and a couple sits of the week based on some of the matchups that I thought were juicy this week. And the Denver defense, if you've got them, if you can get them, the Denver defense versus the Jets, got to start them. Absolutely. You saw what Indianapolis did last week. And, Patrick says the Jets have a good run defense, but I don't think it's good enough. And I think Melvin Gordon is a good start this week.
Well, yeah, the thing that hurts them is that offense is so terrible that, if and when they do get a stop, within 60 to 90 seconds, they're going right back out there to play defense again. So,
right.
I mean, we're talking about human beings here, folks. Like, I don't care how good the run D is with that. Just, I don't even want to call it an offense. we're done talking about them.
Yeah.
So moving right along, I'll be honest. I'm glad you brought this up because I haven't even looked at the matchups for this upcoming week. I just started getting real nervous when I heard about the player that unfortunately tested positive from
COVID.
Atlanta, and then all this other news is coming out about potential games not being played. I believe the Titans and Steelers. So I've really been paying attention to that just because I'm suddenly very nervous, whereas a few days ago, I was like, this is great, man. This is going so smooth. And sure enough. But let's see if I can come up with something. Well, for starters, I don't even know who they play. And I don't even know how much longer Carson Wentz is the starting quarterback. But I'd imagine out and no other receiver outside of Greg Ward doing anything. I'd imagine regardless of who he plays, I'd imagine a start.
They play San Francisco.
And I mean, the Goddard injury, along with all the receivers being injured, who else are they going to throw to? They got Ertz, they got Miles Sanders, and then they got Greg Ward. That's it.
Yeah, I'm with you. If you have Ertz, I mean, you've got to start him. But I don't feel good about starting Greg Ward against the Niners.
I don't know. It could be just I'm having a hangover from all those injuries that hit them. I'm just not viewing San Fran's D as I did last season.
Well, they shut down the Giants last week. Bad. Big time.
The Giants?
I mean, the Eagles haven't looked much better.
with who on the field, bro? I mean, no Barkley, no Sterling Shepard.
Ingram, Slayton, and Tate.
Exactly. I mean, that's not
that's what we're talking about here with the Eagles, right? Because it's Greg Ward and Zach Ertz and Miles Sanders. Like, that's all we've got. I don't know, man. I don't like it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm starting Ertz where I have him, and in Superflex leagues where I got Wentz, I'm starting him in a lot of places because I don't have anyone who's probably has the potential to score more. So I just don't like it. If you have other options, I advise to use those other options.
Well, you know what I just noticed? Hopefully I'm looking at this correctly. Sorry. Yep, week 4. So guess who the Patriots play? They're at Kansas City.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Considering what we saw that Kansas City defense do to Lamar Jackson, I'm feeling very confident starting either Edelman or Harry. I mean, they're going to have to pass. There's not going to be this slow, methodical drive down the field, get down there and let Cam find a way to – no. I don't see that working. Yeah. I mean, Edelman and even Harry, for that matter, they both disappeared last week. But, prior to last week, through the first 2 seasons, I mean, they were both doing quite well, seeing lots of targets. Cam didn't look as accurate passing the ball this past week as he did the first 2 weeks. I don't know. That's something that I couldn't help but notice. But I'd feel like Cam's going to have no choice but to throw the ball. And even if it comes down to garbage time, I'd feel great starting either of those receivers for sure.
Absolutely. Especially Edelman. My other start of the week, and I only threw this in here because I'm still seeing on Twitter people asking, should I start him? Should I start him? I'm talking about James Robinson at Cincinnati. Start the man. It's for real. Like, he's
a
not
must start
for like the next 6 weeks.
Dustin. Go
like
ahead.
for like 6 weeks, he has a cake, and I mean cake schedule. I don't have their rushing ranks in front of me, but let me just read the schedule real quick, because they're all bottom tier, right? So he gets Cincinnati, then he gets Houston, Detroit, week 7 bye. Then he gets the Chargers, which might be tough, but there's been some runs on them. Then he gets Houston, and then it starts getting a little tougher. Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Minnesota. But for the next like 6 weeks, outside of that bye week, you're starting James Robinson.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and I hate that I don't have a single share of this guy. Damn it. He's one of the very few true workhorse backs that remain playing in the league. I mean, it hasn't mattered what the score is, the game flow. He's on the field. He's picking up chunks of yards every time they let him touch the ball, and he's involved in the pass game. For those of you that were on this guy, this very well could be a league-winning player. It very well may be. I mean, again, I don't own him, but if I did, because I'm sure there's plenty of people out there trying to throw some low ball offers out. Like, come on, this is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Armstead is going to be no. Don't you dare fall for that. This guy could very well finish a top 10, if not better, running back, assuming he remains healthy and assuming nothing crazy happens, like they trade him away because they just –
because it's the Jags.
You know, that's the only thing. Outside of that, this guy is not – I mean, if you have him, you just leave him there and – you move him one time for that bye week, and then he's right back, and you're good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, don't fall for any of these buy low. I mean, I'm treating him as if he's – I mean, who would you rather have, Mixon or
James Robinson? 100%.
Absolutely.
He's the RB5 on the year so far. He's got
Absolutely. That's what I'm getting here. Like, you can't just treat him like, oh, was a late round guy that someone got lucky and he's had a few good. No, I don't care. Small sample size or not, the dude's looked amazing. He's passed the eye test multiple times.
Yeah,
I mean, he's gonna be probably within this. I would guess a second round pick next year, assuming he remains with Jacksonville and continues in the role he's in. I mean, he's looked amazing.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for me was even in that blowout last week, he was on the field for the fourth quarter comeback attempt.
The biggest part, yeah.
Money.
I mean, he's not leaving the field.
I love it. I got this guy for free in a lot of dynasty leagues early in the offseason, like May. And shout out to JJ Zacharyson, late round QB. Mentioned him for like 5 minutes on a podcast and was just like, man, he looks good on film. Analytics say he's going to pop, but he might not get drafted. And when the Jags signed him, I knew that they were getting rid of Fournette. So I was just like, you know what, why not? And I took him everywhere, dude. And that's a big time payoff so far, man. My teams have needed it too. So
yeah, unfortunately, I had all of my shares as far as Jacksonville is concerned. I do have a couple Minshew shares, but other than that, DJ Shark currently out with the injury, only 7 targets through the first 2 weeks. He's caught all 7, but not what you were expecting when you drafted him on draft day.
Yeah.
Supposed to be and I had several shares of Armstead, who I thought was taking over, and COVID said otherwise. So, damn.
Well,
real quick though, one more person I need to make sure that we fit in here as just a quote unquote surprise. Robbie Anderson. This guy went undrafted in many leagues, and he looks to be the real deal. This is a great example of a player who was okay while playing under Adam Gase. He's no longer with Gase. Look at what he's done.
8 targets a game.
It's just amazing. But yeah, that's another one similar to Robinson. I mean, if you drafted him, it was very late. No one took Anderson early at all. Is there legit concern for DJ Moore?
Yeah, I mean, I think the talent's there, but it's just like that's who they're keying on, right? They're not scared of Curtis Samuel, and then, Robbie Anderson gets his 8 for 100 and a touchdown, and they're fine with that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I don't have DJ Moore anywhere, but
I tried to get him all off season and couldn't.
I would not be feeling very good at the moment, because we all thought, especially with the CMC injury, I certainly thought that he would be getting probably 10 targets a game, and not even close.
Yeah.
Crazy times.
Definitely. But actually that helps segue again into the sits of the week. You just keep doing this on accident, and it's working out awesome.
That's how we roll, man.
And I know you didn't put any together, but I just want to talk about a couple of the ones that I had this week. And it segues because I am not confident about starting really any Panthers against the Cardinals. We talked about
it'd be hard to sit Robbie Anderson, though. I mean, now, granted, if you have an option that's very, very close and it has a better matchup, then sure. But, man, if I'm not mistaken, he's a top 10 receiver in PPR currently, which just sounds crazy. Unbelievable.
I know. And maybe that's what maybe I've still got that stuck in my head, but I don't know, man. That Arizona defense has been sneaky, and they haven't been giving up big games. 20 points is about what they're averaging, allowing the other team to score a little over 20. So it's just there's not a lot of potential.
San Fran, though, the teams they faced in weeks 2 and 3, I think their defense obviously is much, much better last season. For those of y'all that remember them last season on the defensive side. But I'm going to have to see more because, yeah, they played well against the 49ers. But, I mean, after that, I believe it was Washington football team and then the Lions, who they somehow lost to.
3 interceptions from Kyler.
Well, and the thing that sucks, man, I mean, especially for me having multiple shares of DeAndre Swift, is they fed the rock to AD all day, Adrian Peterson, and they won. So
they're going to do it again.
Mr. McBeard and Pencil is going to do the same thing again, and probably until he gets fired or they just keep winning. I didn't see that one coming. While we're on the topic, I'm surprised that both Swift as well as Akers, granted Akers is currently injured, they haven't looked good so far. And I have both of them, which I'm not happy about. So, hopefully the talent prevails because I know the talent's real. It's ironic because looking at Cam Akers run the ball this year – looks exactly like Darrell Henderson did running the ball last year. You know what I mean? So it's strange. We'll see, man. We'll see. Yeah. But I was in on both those guys. And as far as this year's concerned, things are not looking bright at all. I think in redraft, I mean, you can drop either one of these guys, right? At this
Probably,
moment.
Yeah. Oh, especially after that performance Henderson put in.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Washington, and that's actually another one of my sits of the week. And this is another team where I don't want to start anybody from Washington this week. And I realize if you drafted Terry McLaurin, you drafted him to probably be a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2, and you might have to start him. But temper expectations, because I think that Baltimore team is going to show up angry, and they want to show the world that they are not the chumps that Mahomes made them look like last week. And Haskins is no Mahomes, y'all. Let's make no bones about that.
Yeah, I'm going to start with Haskins because unfortunately, although he played poorly throughout last season, the very last 2 games of the season last year, he seemed to have made strides, so I was feeling optimistic.
Me too.
Imagine for Terry McLaurin owners, imagine if they had a capable quarterback and a pre-injury Alex Smith, if you will, or possibly even a post-injury Alex Smith. We'll find out. I mean, the thing about McLaurin is even with such poor quarterback play, he's still putting up stats.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact
It gets open.
The fact that he was overlooked in the draft, I believe he went in the 3rd round. I mean, this guy looks incredible. Incredible. He's had some of the best cornerbacks face him in shadow coverage, and he's getting open all game long. All game long. The problem is Haskins can only get him the ball maybe 25% of the time that he's getting open. So you're going to live with that. I can't imagine benching McLaurin unless you're just extremely heavy at wide receiver. Outside of that, no way.
Yeah, but just temper expectations. I don't think McLaurin's going to be a week winner for you this year, so hopefully you've got some pop somewhere else. And then last but not least, we've already beat this horse to death, but we're going to hit it one last time. T.Y. Hilton versus Chicago, man. I realize he's like the only pass catcher there, but I think he's done. I'd rather start Mo Alley Cox. In fact, if it was a flex play and I had to choose between the two, I'm starting Mo, hands down over Ty. The Bears have been kind of stingy to wide receivers. They didn't play the best 2 wide receivers the first 2 weeks, and then Calvin Ridley kind of torched them. So take that as you will. But T.Y. Hilton is not Calvin Ridley.
Torched though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
T.Y. Hilton's not Calvin Ridley, and that Indianapolis pass offense is nowhere near the level of the Atlanta pass offense. So I'm staying away from Hilton at all costs this week.
We knew this. We knew this, though. I mean, I did. If Phillip Rivers could not get deep passes to Mike Williams, who's like, 6'4", 220-ish, give or take.
Yeah, a monster out there.
How in the world is he getting it to T.Y. Hilton, y'all?
Yeah.
That if you fell for that, I'm sorry, that was a mistake in its own. I mean, we everyone should have saw this coming. He's a tight end slot receiver guy. At least for the past couple of years, he's going, real quick, because I know he's been facing injuries and I know we're running out of time, but real quick, the fact that Mike Williams exceeded 1,000 yards receiving on less than 50 receptions last season, that's incredible to me. Like,
Philo candidate.
I'm torn because I personally thought that once Herbert took over, it was going to boost the stock of Mike Williams. So far, it seems to have gone the other direction with Keenan Allen. Yeah. So I may have just straight whiffed on this one here. But
same. I was with you,
regardless, they picked up the final year option of Mike Williams' contract. I mean, the guy is a monster.
Yeah.
He's a monster, and he's a threat deep down the field with that type of size. I mean, if he had a quarterback that could get him the ball, we'd be speaking and drafting Mike Williams much differently.
Oh, 70 receptions for Mike Williams would be like, hallelujah, man.
Well, if the man catches 70 passes, he'll I mean, he'll have like what 1,400 receiving yards.
Yeah, if he's got the same average catch as he did, previously,
Yeah,
that's what
if
we're
he can,
extrapolating.
if he can shake off these early season injuries, get 100%, and actually get, I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, and they're gonna, the Chargers, they may not be able to retain him after this final year, after paying Keenan Allen, and I feel like they
Eckler.
paid someone else as well. But
Did they
yeah, they
pay
did pay
Eckler? Yeah.
Eckler. I want to say there's one other person, but anywho, um, but then again, the Rams showed us that
Just pay
they're
everybody.
like money isn't a thing, because these I'll never understand. But you know, maybe not in redraft, because I haven't liked what I've seen thus far, and I hate to go into dynasty, but just in case anyone watching is into dynasty, I think right now is a prime time to buy low on Mike Williams. I really do. Because he's either going to get healthy and produce, or they're not going
They're
to
gonna let
keep
him
him
go.
next year if he's not producing. I mean, they're not. Why would they? I would imagine most, if not all, teams in the league that realistically are capable of acquiring him are going to be going after this guy.
For
I
sure.
mean, the guy is, he's massive. He's massive. And when you have to worry about that, it opens up so much more. So, if he hits a landing spot, like, can you imagine if he played for the Seahawks?
Oof.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But anywho, just a final thought to leave y'all with.
Yeah, man. It was great to be back. It was great to
Oh yeah.
record again. Um, really going to try to get back to doing this on a weekly thing, but just as it happens sometimes, life got in the way. But we're gonna try and get back to weekly videos here for you with actionable fantasy advice. Probably get a little more into some of the week to week start sit matchup breakdown type of stuff as we move forward. But it was great to recap the beginning of the season. It's been fun so far, man, and I'm stoked for the rest of it.
Yeah, same here. Again, sorry for our absence. It took me a while to stop crying and finally come out of my room after all my stud players got injured before the season even started. But I'm finally over it, y'all. Trying to get some wins, but tough sledding. We'll see what happens. But want to give a shout out to anyone who's given support of any kind. Y'all know who y'all are. If anyone would like to join us for a future episode, as I've said over and over, leave a comment. Tell us what you want to see. We'll reach out to you if you'd like to collaborate. You're more than welcome. As always, nothing but love. Fantasy Philosophers signing out. Until next time, stay tuned.
Later, y'all.